Have you ever heard your grandparents drop a story about a Christmas party platter so wild it makes you wonder, man, why don't we make stuff like that anymore? Ever dig through old recipe cards and feel that sudden spark of curiosity, like you just uncovered a forgotten flavor from America's groovy past? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into 10 Christmas appetizers from the 1960s and 70s that have disappeared. If you love uncovering lost bites of American history, smash that like button, share this with someone who remembers the good old days, hit subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which dish sparks a memory. Let's roll back the clock and taste the past. Number 1, Rumaki. Did your folks ever whisper about that one Christmas appetizer that looked fancy enough to impress the neighbors but tasted so bold it practically slapped your taste buds awake? Rumaki was that legendary little bite, the bizarre yet beloved combo of chicken liver and water chestnuts wrapped tight in sizzling bacon, the kind of thing your grandpa might joke about while saying, "Back then, we didn't play it safe at parties." And you've got to wonder, what made people in the 60s keep reaching for something so quirky, so daring, so downright unforgettable? Was it the thrill of trying something different, or just the magic of those holiday gatherings where nobody worried about calories and everybody lived a little louder? Picture the scent drifting through a mid-century living room, guests in their sharp suits and sparkling dresses crowding around the tray like it was pure gold. And here's the real kicker. Why did a dish with so much swagger just vanish? Did our taste buds get shy? Or did we forget how to have fun with flavors? Rumaki wasn't just food, it was a vibe, a moment, a memory waiting to burst back into the spotlight. Makes you wonder what other bold bites we've let slip away, right? Number 2, bacon-wrapped Smokies. Ever stop and think about how something so tiny could steal the whole show at a Christmas party? Bacon-wrapped Smokies were that sneaky little appetizer that made people hover around the table like they were guarding buried treasure. And honestly, who could blame them? Imagine that smoky, sweet aroma drifting across a 1970s living room, making every aunt, uncle, and family friend say, "Hold up, what's cooking over there?" These weren't just snacks. They were the kind of bites your older relatives still talk about with that sparkle in their eyes, remembering how they popped them into their mouths like candy after the third cup of holiday punch. But here's the part that hooks me every time. How did something so simple, so irresistible, just disappear from modern holiday menus? Did folks forget the magic of wrapping anything in bacon? Or did these little legends just slip through the cracks of changing trends? One bite back then could light up the whole room, start conversations, and make memories that stuck around way longer than the decorations. Kinda makes you think, what other tiny treasures from America's past are waiting to be rediscovered? Number 3, liver pâté en croûte. Have you ever seen an old holiday photo and wondered what fancy little mystery dish was sitting proudly in the center of the table, making everyone feel just a bit extra classy? Liver pâté en croûte was that showstopper, the kind of appetizer your grandparents probably pronounced with their best "I'm feeling fancy today" voice. Picture it, smooth, rich pâté wrapped in a golden, flaky crust that looked like something straight out of a retro hotel banquet. And here's the wild part. People back then loved this stuff. They'd slice it up, spread it on crackers, and act like they were dining in some swanky downtown spot, even if they were just chilling in a wood-paneled living room with tinsel draped everywhere. But somewhere along the way, this elegant little dish vanished, like it slipped into a time capsule and never crawled back out. Was it the name that scared folks off? The effort? Or did we just forget how good it feels to bring a touch of old-school glamour to the holiday spread? There's something magical about thinking of those moments. The laughter, the music, the pride of serving something that looks straight up fancy schmancy. Number 4. Swedish meatballs in cream sauce. Ever catch yourself daydreaming about that one holiday dish your grandparents swore could fix any bad mood, cold night, or family meltdown? Swedish meatballs in cream sauce were exactly that. Little savory comfort bombs rolling straight out of the 60s and 70s and into every festive gathering like they owned the place. Imagine that warm, creamy aroma drifting from the kitchen, making the whole house feel like a cozy hug you didn't even know you needed. Folks back then would scoop them up so fast you'd think they were afraid someone else might snag the last one. And here's where the curiosity kicks in. How did a dish that comforting, that crowd-pleasing, just drop off the holiday radar? Was it because everything today has to be light, lean, or Instagram pretty? Because these meatballs weren't trying to look cute. They were there to warm your soul and keep you coming back for seconds and thirds. Your seniors probably remember standing by the punch bowl, secretly hoping whoever was holding the serving spoon would hurry up and pass that pot their way. It's wild to think how something so simple, so nostalgic, could fade into the background when it once ruled the appetizer table. Number 5. Shrimp cocktail. Did you ever hear your grandparents brag about the fancy Christmas parties they used to throw, where one dish had everyone crowding around like it was royalty? That was the shrimp cocktail, the king of cool, sitting on ice with that bold, zesty cocktail sauce that could wake up anyone's taste buds in one sharp, sassy bite. Picture it. Guests in their best holiday outfits leaning over the bowl like it held all the secrets of the season, clinking glasses and saying things like, "Now this is how you start a party." And the wild part? It wasn't even complicated, just chilled shrimp, a punchy sauce, and a vibe so classy it made every living room feel like a retro hotel lounge. But here's the hook. How did something this iconic, this effortlessly glamorous, slip through the cracks of modern holiday spreads? Did we get too fancy for our own good? Or did we forget the charm of simple flavors that hit you with a nostalgic smack right behind the memories? Number 6. Stuffed celery boats. Ever hear an older relative talk about the days when even the simplest holiday snacks had a certain spark, that charming homemade touch that made people say, "Dang, why does this taste so good?" Stuffed celery boats were exactly that kind of quiet legend. Picture a crisp stalk packed with creamy spreads, chopped olives, little nutty bits, or whatever secret mix Grandma swore by. It sounds simple now, but back in the 60s and 70s, this was the crunchy, zippy bite that kept guests circling the table like hungry seagulls at a beach picnic. And here's the curiosity kicker. How did something so easy, so refreshing, so downright cheerful, just vanish from the Christmas appetizer lineup? Maybe folks got too busy chasing the next big food trend, or maybe we forgot how satisfying a cool, crunchy, flavor-packed bite could be between sips of eggnog and laughter that shook the tinsel. Ask any senior who grew up in that era. They'll tell you those little celery boats were the first thing to disappear from the platter long before the fancy stuff. It's wild to think such a humble, tasty throwback could slip into obscurity. Number 7. Ham and pickle roll-ups. Ever hear your elders laugh about those quirky Christmas snacks that somehow tasted way better than they had any right to? Ham and pickle roll-ups were that appetizer, the oddball combo that always made people raise an eyebrow before taking a bite and then going, "Whoa, okay, that actually slaps." Picture thin slices of ham wrapped around a crunchy dill pickle or a creamy smear of seasoned cheese held together with a toothpick that felt like an invitation to dive back into the party spirit. Back in the 60s and 70s, these little rolls were the life of the table, not glamorous, not fancy, just fun, bold, and weirdly addictive. How did something so simple, so talk-worthy, so memory-packed just drift off the holiday radar? Was it because we started taking appetizers too seriously, trying to make everything look picture-perfect instead of just letting flavor do the talking? Seniors today still grin when they remember these. The crunch, the tang, the salty kick, and how they grabbed them two at a time while swapping stories under the glow of old-school Christmas lights. Number 8. Tomato aspic mold. Have you ever looked at an old Christmas photo and spotted that shiny, wiggly dish in the middle of the table? The one your grandparents swear was all the rage? Even though you can't help but wonder, what on earth were y'all eating back then? That mysterious masterpiece was the tomato aspic mold, the quirky, jello-like tomato creation that somehow managed to be both a conversation starter and a holiday staple in the 60s and 70s. Picture it, shimmering under the dining room lights, surrounded by curious guests poking at it with forks, pretending they totally understood this fancy throwback to old-school culinary flair. It had this savory, tangy kick that seniors still recall with a mix of nostalgia and a tiny chuckle, remembering the bold flavors and even bolder presentation. But here's the hook. How did such a unique, iconic centerpiece vanish from modern tables? Did tastes evolve, or did we just forget how much people loved showing off dishes that made guests stop and say, "Well, ain't that something?" The real magic wasn't just in the flavor. It was in the memories, the laughter, the holiday moments wrapped around that retro red mold. Number 9. Pigs in a blanket. You ever hear your older relatives talk about those Christmas parties where the simplest snacks caused the biggest smiles? Pigs in a blanket were the undisputed champs of that era. Tiny little sausages wrapped in warm golden dough that disappeared faster than the punch bowl could be refilled. Picture a 1970s living room buzzing with laughter, vinyl records spinning in the background, and a baking sheet of these little beauties sliding out of the oven, making everyone perk up like, "Oh, heck yeah, they're here." These weren't fancy, they weren't complicated, but man, were they dependable, the kind of appetizer that could turn even the grumpiest uncle into a cheerful chatterbox. How did a bite so comforting, so universally loved, end up fading from holiday spreads? Did we get too caught up chasing new trends? Or did we forget that sometimes the most nostalgic flavors are the ones wrapped in the simplest packages? Number 10. Chicken liver mousse. Ever hear a senior talk about those Christmas parties where one dish made everyone feel suddenly upscale, even if the celebration was happening in a tiny wood-paneled living room? Chicken liver mousse was that smooth, velvety, surprisingly elegant spread that had guests leaning in like, "All right, who brought the fancy stuff?" Picture it sitting in a chilled dish, surrounded by crackers and tiny toast rounds, looking like something straight out of a retro gourmet magazine. Back in the 60s and 70s, this mousse wasn't just food. It was a statement, a holiday flex that said, "Yeah, we know how to throw a real party." But here's the hook that gets you thinking. How did a dish so silky, so rich, so full of old-school charm, just vanish from our Christmas tables? Did folks get spooked by the word liver? Or did we forget the thrill of trying something bold, creamy, and totally unexpected? Seniors still chuckle about how guests would hover nearby, pretending to act polite while waiting for a chance to scoop another generous spread onto a cracker. It carried memories, the kind that tasted like warmth, laughter, and a little bit of holiday daring. And just like that, we've taken a tasty trip through the forgotten appetizers that once lit up America's Christmas parties with bold flavors, funky ideas, and pure nostalgic charm. Which one sparked a memory for you? Or maybe for someone in your family? Drop a comment and let me know what dish you'd bring back to the holiday table. And hey, if you enjoyed this journey into America's tasty past, don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another bite of forgotten food history. Until next time, keep the memories warm and the flavors alive.